wouldn't build a house without a foundation, so don't build your business without one. This is Mindset Monday, where we lay out the tools, frameworks, and mindset you need to scale your contracting or trading business today.
All right. Welcome back to Mindset Monday. Did you guys notice we got a new intro? We've been playing around with some ideas over the last few weeks, and that's kind of what we settled on. So I'd love to hear your feedback. If you guys like it, let me know. Thumbs up. If you don't, I don't want to hear from you. Just kidding. We do like feedback, so we appreciate that. Well, welcome back to Monday, right? Another Monday, except now we are officially in the fourth quarter of the year. That's right. 3 more months. Time is ticking, and all of a sudden, 2025 will be gone, and we'll be moving on to 2026. You guys know the drill. If you're here live, go ahead and drop your name and your business name in the comments section, and we'll give you the good old, as they say, shout out. So here we are, another Monday, except now we're in October, right? So we're here in October, and the question is like, what now? And I say that because this weekend, for example, here we got a nice fresh dusting of snow. So you can kind of see here, let's see, zoom in there. You can kind of see there's snow at the top of them. They're hills, as they like to say, right? So we've got snow, which means what? It doesn't mean anything unless we choose for it to mean something. Here's what I know for sure. About 85% of contractors take their foot off the gas in the fourth quarter of the year. 85%. And I also know that about 75% of contractors in some way, shape, or form during the year experience some sort of cash flow issues. Now, are those related? Let's think about that. But before we do, we got a couple of folks here. We got Justin with Allworks out of Cheyenne, Wyoming. Welcome to the show. And then we've got Sarah, or Dan and Sarah, I should say, DSB Remodeling, or Remodeling It, from California. Welcome to the show. Again, if you're live, go ahead and drop your name and your business name, and we'll go ahead and give you a good little shout out. Okay, now what does this mean, right? Is there a correlation between the contractors who take their foot off the gas in the fourth quarter of the year and the contractors who have cash flow issues throughout the year? I will tell you, yes, 100%, right? If you remember the old Disney cartoons, you got, I can't remember the name of them now, the two chipmunks, Chip and Dale, there we go. Chip and Dale, the chipmunks, right? What would they always try and do throughout the year? Well, they were trying to hoard their nuts. But why were they hoarding their nuts? Why did chipmunks and squirrels hoard food throughout the year? Well, that's because in the winter, things slow down, or things get cold, or things insert blank. And the contractors who know that that's coming, which should be all of you, prepare for that time. We right now are on 2 commercial projects, and we've got another one that's already started. We're not technically on it yet, but we will be here within the next 30 days. So we'll have 3 projects running. One of them will end, the 2 will continue. So we've got jobs, if you will, opportunities throughout the year. Does that mean that I should stop? Does that mean that I should slow down? Or does that mean that I should double down? Because here's what I'll tell you. There's always opportunities. Will they slow down in the winter? Yes, they always do. They slow down, okay? But does that mean they stop? No. Does that mean that people aren't looking forward to things next year? No. Does that mean that there isn't opportunity or additional opportunities for you? No, it doesn't. In fact, we're looking at bidding some additional jobs this year that are probably going to kick off next year, that are going to give us the opportunity to probably pass 7 figures next year in this brand new company, not even a year old, right? So I'm telling you that because I want you to understand that success or failure ultimately is up to you. And what you do in the next 3 months of this year is not just going to impact this year for you, is also going to impact next year. Now, if you were on the show last week, you remember that I said, hey, you need to start tracking your numbers. Here's the numbers you need to start tracking. Here's how it correlates to you and your success. I also said that this week, I was going to help you figure out your numbers for this fourth quarter. How do we consider fourth quarter a success? Well, guess what? We start tracking. Okay. So here's the invitation that I have for you guys. Again, this is an invitation, not an obligation. I have the invitation for you guys. If you want help setting up your numbers for the fourth quarter of the year, now's your shot. Like literally, now's your shot. I'm trying to figure out how to get my iPad on this screen. Let me see, add to stage. Okay, so we added the iPad. Now I need to figure out how to share this screen. How does this work? Turn on Stage Manager. No idea what that is. Guess that's not working. But drop it in the comments if you want some help with me and getting your numbers figured out. I'm going to help you do that. So I want to hear from somebody who wants help. And we're going to give you that help. Let me see. Does this help me share the screen? What do we do here? Stop my cam. Nope, I just disconnected it. All right. So is there anybody who wants help setting up their numbers for the fourth quarter? Now, this is your shot, right? This is FREE free. Normally we do this for folks, and it usually lasts an hour. But I want to hear from you guys, okay? What is it that you think would be beneficial for you right now? Your numbers. Okay, we got Justin here. Justin says, I'll take some help, probably need it. Great. Justin, I apologize. I cannot get my screen set up here. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and type it in here, and then I will send it over to you. So let's start at the top, Justin. We're 3/4 of the way through the year. What is your revenue to date? So the first 9 months of the year, what have you generated in top line revenue? So we'll start with revenue. By the way, so you guys know, that's always where you're going to start. And I'm going to show you where it is that it's going to end up. So actually, I wonder if we can do this. I don't think we can. Actually, Justin, I'm going to try this. I don't know if you're driving or not, but if you're not, let's figure out how we can add you to this thing. So Justin, drop your email down below, and I'm going to send you an email with the link. We'll try and get you live on the show here so that we can talk through this. Now, while we're waiting for Justin to send us his info, I want you guys to understand some very basic principles, okay? And I'm going to walk through this with Justin so you guys can hear it, and ultimately I'll send it over so you can see it too. But Justin, we'll still get you on here. If you want to drop your email, I'll get this sent over, and we'll at least get your face on here so we can talk through it. Makes it a little easier. If you don't have clear targets, it's going to be damn near impossible for you to figure out where you're going, and more importantly, how it is you're going to get there, right? I'll give you a perfect example. This last year, I guess earlier this year, I decided I was going to run another marathon. Now, back in the day, I actually ran quite frequently. My fastest time was at 3:12:57. Anyway, 3 hours, 12 minutes. Relatively fast, but not fast enough to win races, in case you were wondering. But when I first started running, I was averaging 4 hours and 30 minutes per race. So how did I increase, or I should say decrease, my time by an hour and let's just call it 15 minutes? How did I do that? Well, it was real simple. I started to track things. I was tracking my nutrition. I was tracking my workouts. So my workouts were super specific as far as was it a speed workout? Was it more of an endurance workout? Was it more of a tempo workout? I started tracking my rest and recovery. I was going to the chiropractor. I got a massage gun, right? I was doing all these things to help my body prepare for a marathon. It didn't happen overnight, but it was a consistent thing that eventually got us to the point where I was able to run that time. Now, what does having a contracting business have to do with running a marathon? Well, you'd be surprised. A lot of things. So let's walk through it. Right now, if I was to ask you, where are you getting your leads from? What would you tell me? Well, a lot of you would probably tell me referrals, or if you're lucky, a Facebook group, or maybe you're part of a BNI or some other networking group and you get, a job here and a job there. That's great. The problem with referrals, though, is you can't predict when they're going to come. And so they come when they come and they don't come when they don't come. And so if you're trying to set up a specific target, it's going to be impossible for you to set it up if you're not tracking anything, right? So think about this. Let's say for the fourth quarter of this year, I'm gonna do an example here on the board, and I'll share you the picture with you. Let's say you wanted to do 250K in revenue for the fourth quarter, right? And some of you guys are probably on track for that, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less, but let's just say 250. It's a nice round number. So if I wanted to hit 250 this quarter, it's not just about saying I want to hit 250 this quarter, right? Remember earlier when I was talking about the marathon, I talked about all the pieces that go into hitting that target. So the first thing that we have to determine is the revenue target. And again, for our example, we're saying 250. Now, if it's 250, I got to break that down by week. Why? Because it's much easier to track by week. So 250 divided by 13, I got to break out the calculator here. Let's see, 250K divided by 13 gives us 19,230. You guys can see right there. So 19,230 is our goal for the week, right? Now, let's say, for example, you average $5,000 per job, right? You do some kind of repair work and you're $5,000 per job. So if your average is 5K a job, how many jobs do you need to do a week? So we'll do some simple math. So 19,230 divided by 5,000, that's 3.84. So for sake of round numbers, it's 4 jobs a week. That's what your target is, right? Now you see how it's becoming much more realistic. You're like, shoot, I'm only doing 2 right now, or I'm only doing 3. Okay, so we got to ramp that up. How do we ramp it up? Now we break it back down a little bit and we say, okay, what's your close rate? Out of every 10 jobs, how many do you close? I'm going to be generous and I'm going to say you close 3 out of every 10 jobs. Okay, so that's about 30%. 30% is the average for contractors, by the way. So if you're closing 3 out of every 10 jobs, how many jobs do you have to be bidding or estimating every single week to hit that target of 4? Well, that's super simple. That's 4 times 3. Okay, so that's 12. So you have to do 12 estimates a week, right? Again, trying to make this much more realistic. Now we need to look at leads. Not every lead will be an estimate. For some of you, it's a high number, like 80% or 90%. That's great. But for most people, they're lucky if it's 50%. So we're just going to go on the average and say 50%. So 50% of every lead or every person that says, I'm interested in your product or service is going to want an actual estimate, which means you need 24 leads. Okay. Now, why am I telling you all these what appear to be random numbers? Well, let me show you. Okay. There's a screen right there. Here's the side-by-side, as they say, right? We got a little side-by-side action going. Let's break it back down. If you want to hit 250K in revenue in the fourth quarter, that's $19,230 a week. If you're averaging 5K a job, that's 4 jobs a week that you need. If your close rate is 3 out of 10 or 30%, that means you're going to need 12 estimates a week. If half of your leads convert into estimates, that means you're going to need 24 leads a week. So what we've just done is taken the guesswork out of what I need to do to hit my target, right? A lot of people are like, oh, I know my revenue number is going to be 500K or 200K or 50K or whatever it is. But if you don't know how to break numbers down like this, it's going to be damn near impossible to hit it. Okay. So now with these numbers, what's the next thing we need to do? We need to say what activities are going to generate 24 leads a week. Now, listen, I get it. Some of you guys are able to generate 24 organic estimates a week through your Facebook posting or through referrals or your networking groups. That's awesome. Okay. Probably not talking to you right now. I'm talking to the person who says, how am I going to generate 24 leads a week? So there's a couple different ways to do this, right? Number one, and most important, is you got to figure out who you want to do work for. Who's going to pay you the 5K? For some of you, it's working direct with a homeowner. There's an electrician I work with in Arizona who averages about 5K a job, but he gets all of his jobs off a Google business profile or local SEO, right? People call him, people message him, people fill out forms, and they have an issue. They have a service panel that isn't working, or a blown fuse, or they have the ceiling fan that isn't working. So he goes in knowing that the repair itself won't equal 5K. But he goes in and he says, we do a free diagnostic. And he does a complete electrical diagnostic for the house. Checks every outlet, checks every switch, checks every appliance, checks everything. And usually comes back with somewhere between $4,000 or $5,000 worth of work, including upgrades. They want recessed lights, or they want a ceiling fan in a room, whatever the thing is. And so he works his way into about $5,000 a job, right? So we have to figure out who it is that we want to work with to be able to do something like that. For some of you guys, it's homeowners. Some of you guys, it's contractors. Some of you guys do commercial work, right? Again, it's going to depend on who it is that you want to do the work for and with. So the first thing we got to do is identify. The second thing, and this is where things are going to vary a little bit. For some of you, you got to figure out where your people are at, which is going to be online, right? A lot of homeowners online in, neighborhood groups or other Facebook groups or whatever the thing is, they're online, right? And so your job is go to where they're at, right? For some of you, you're looking at GCs or contractors. Are they online? Sure, but they're not necessarily looking for you online. So you're going to have to hit job sites. You're going to have to stop by the office, right? You're going to have to, as I like to call it, shake hands and kiss babies. Now, some of you guys are like, but I don't have time for it. Well, then I guess you don't have time to grow your business. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. When we bring a new contractor inside of here, in fact, we just started 2 of them last week. One of them is an electrician and the other one is a remodeling contractor. Guess what we're going to do? This very same exercise. And guess what I'm going to force them to do? The work that's going to take them where it is that they want to go. Now I say force, but I can't really force anybody. I'm going to hold them accountable to the thing that they say that they want. Okay. So it's one thing to know your numbers, which we just laid out. It's another thing to do the work to generate those numbers. If I want to generate, for example, for a commercial construction management company, if I want to generate $1 million next year, I'm not going to generate $1 million by sitting in my office. It's not going to happen, right? I got to go out and build relationships with builders and developers that could use my services, right? So guess what I'm doing later today? Oh, you guessed it, lunch with a developer. Guess what I'm doing next week? Yep, golf with a developer, right? I fill up my time, my free time, my extra time, my marketing time with the people that I want to do business with. They may or may not have jobs right now, but ultimately I'm building the relationship so that when the jobs do come up, I'm the person they think of. That's how you play this game. Now, before we log off, we sign off, we tell you it's time for you to get after it and go do your thing. Who has questions? Who has questions on what they need to do and how they need to do it? By the way, what I'm telling you right now is FREE that you can go pay a marketing company tens of thousands of dollars for. They're probably going to try and sell you on something you don't need. You're going to give all of your hope into them, all of your faith. Please, Mr. Marketing Company, help me. They don't know who you want to target. They don't know how you want to target them. And ultimately, you're just throwing your money away. You may as well just give it to me and I'll give it to charity. Just saying, right? So if anybody has any questions, now's your chance. Ask the question. I will answer it. I will answer it based on the facts, the data. We've worked with 750 contractors over the years. 750 contractors. By next year, I want to hit 1,000. That's my goal, right? We've seen it all. I don't care if you're doing maintenance and service work. I don't care if you're working with homeowners, with builders, developers, with government jobs, with industrial, commercial. We've seen it all. We've done it all. Okay. We have an answer for you. Now, if you're interested in learning more about what it is that we do and how it is that we do it, cool. We've got some stuff for you that you can participate in. So we run a program called the Build Pro Blueprint. Now, Build Pro is the name of the business, sure. But ultimately, what the blueprint is a 13-week program that lays down the fundamentals for you. What do we need to do and how do we need to do it, right? Because it's one thing to run a business. It's another thing to actually be profitable in running a business. So we drop the link down below. You guys are more than happy to hit that link. You can fill out the form. You can schedule a call with us. We do a free what's called business assessment or a business breakdown. We show you exactly what you need to do to hit those numbers that you want to hit. But until now, since none of you guys want to comment, I'm not going to sit here and hold you any longer. You guys know what you got to do. If you want to hit your target for fourth quarter, figure out what your number is, work it backwards. If you'd like some help, schedule a call. We'd love to have some conversation with you. All right. You guys know what time it is. It's time to get after it. 3, 2, 1. Off you go.